Hi, good morning. I'm Janine Fallon Maurer, and I'm part of the Historical Society of Woodstock. And I'm here today with the man, the myth, and the legend.
Yes.
Our own Magic Markie. And many of us that are my age remember him, especially when we were teenagers. You were, as it said in one of the articles, I refreshed my memory, one of our big brothers in town.
That's what you
Right?
wrote, yes.
Right. So welcome back to the Historical Society and welcome back to Woodstock. It's really wonderful to see you in person.
I love Woodstock.
Yes, yeah.
And we saw each other before the COVID. When I was there in 2018 and 19, my friend Brett took me to the flea market, which
Yep.
you're still involved in. So we said hello then.
Yes.
So I always kept in touch in that aspect.
So what I want to know, what brought you to Woodstock?
In the beginning,
In the beginning, what was that, 1969?
1969, I went to the actual festival itself. My boss at that time in Philadelphia had two head shops in Philly, apparatus and paraphernalia, two really heavy-duty head shops. So we went to the festival, we came back from the festival, and at that time, I had no idea Leslie was very eccentric, very rich. He decided, he comes up one day, he says, I just bought the building in the center of town of Woodstock, New York. I've never been here before. I says, oh, that's real nice. You bought a building, it's got 4 apartments, and it's got 3 stores down below for rent. I bought the whole building for $50,000.
Wow.
Okay, Les, way to go.
That's a deal.
And you know what else I got? Up on O'Hale Mountain Road. I had no idea what the hell O'Hale Mountain Road was. He bought a place beautiful, the window you can see out, giant window with a cabin in the back. So that's great, Les. Yeah. Well, I need you. I'm living in Center City for years. I'm happy down there running the two head shops. I've the time of my life, Center City, Philadelphia. You know, got dates every night. I need you to go to Woodstock. You know, and I need you to set up this store because I kicked the baker.
Oh, that's right, our beloved bakery. Oh my gosh, you're responsible for that?
Well, what can I didn't do it. Leslie kicked the baker out, and the shoemaker was right next door.
Tell me Leslie's last name.
Tobin.
Tobin, okay.
Leslie Tobin.
All right.
Hung around, and Steve Flowers and Tina did some of the carpentry work. I worked with Gary Dye on setting up the sound system in the store because you could hear it all the way down
Well,
the
that's,
street.
I think, what drew me into the store as a kid because your music was so very cutting edge compared to what I was used to.
It was like you said. Well, let me go back to how I got up here.
Yes,
it's important.
yes.
You're going up to. I don't want to go to Woodstock. No, you're gonna love it up there, man. There's girls all over the place, and you know I was only 19 or 20 if I was that. I need you to set the store, but you know none of these idiots down here can do what you can do. And I had, you got visual merchandise. I want you up there. I got your own cabin. You're not gonna pay no rent. You know, you can breathe clean, fresh air. The pot's everywhere, even though it wasn't legal.
Right.
He says you're gonna love it up there. All right, Leslie. I'll give it a month. I packed my little bag in my van,
It's
went
not
up
very
there.
long.
Yeah, and as soon as I saw it, and saw what needed to be done, and it was all built with that wood, the bark on the outside and inside. Visions came into my head of what I could do with the shop. It was mine to run and do with.
Right.
And of course, you walked in there, the mobiles, the lanterns, the incense, the smell, the music, the way I set it up, the pipes.
And the 2 big windows.
The 2 big windows and the
Yeah.
pipes in the front that sometimes at 12 or 1 o'clock at night, Billy Watts would be driving by, stop his cop car in front, because I had the door halfway open. And I'm sitting there with the bench pulled off, and I'm picking up each pipe that was on display like that to people, and shining it up, put it down so it was shining, and they got dusty. I mean, like real OCD was me.
Well, yeah.
So that's how I got to come up here, and then once I was here, had my own cabin, I ain't going back no more.
No, yeah.
I'm here, man. I have dates every night here. It's like a groupie, Todd Rugger and Paul Butterfield coming in, buying rolling papers and things like that. And just all these musicians that I got to meet, Dave Sanborn. Everybody smoked. They always come in to buy something.
It was the who's who of Woodstock at the time, right?
I was happy. I felt like I was somebody,
Yeah.
you know, and Ron Marions and Velma, the Joyous Lake was really rocking, along with Albert Grossman Studios. Bearsville studio on Spear Road, and Ron and Albert worked together, even though Albert was a famous producer and manager and everything. He got so many bookings. The Joyous Lake was rocking.
Yes, it was.
So was my
Yes.
head shop.
Yes.
But I was there. Ron took care of me. I did disco Tuesdays there.
At the lake?
At the lake.
No
Well,
kidding.
Tuesday night was disco with Magic Markie and Wardell Curtis. We did disco and everything. And
How did you get the moniker Magic?
Getty I think it was a side profile with my nose like that. Get your bamboo 2 for $1. That was magical. 2 for $1. I used to drive Frank. The other guy had 2 head shops. And then when I started selling it even cheaper, he opened up another head shop to try and run me out. And he couldn't do it. He just didn't know the manufacturers and the special names where I got the mobiles and things he just couldn't get that I could get because of, in New York, there was a place called Jaime's House of Rips, where the reason I could sell bamboo so cheap, I could buy a whole case for $208. That's a lot of bamboo.
Okay.
Nobody usually goes out and buys a case. You know, I got smart, and Leslie was great to me, and I was collecting his rents, and then next door was the health food store. So he threw out the bakery, which was my store. We said, then when he was a nice guy. I think he started running the Cafe Espresso or the Sled Hill Cafe. I think he was a shoemaker of Dagmar and
Victor Balsamo,
Yeah, I don't know
right?
if Victor was a shoemaker or not, but he might have been in one of those stores. But then they opened up the Cafe
Boy, you're bringing back a
Espresso.
lot of thoughts that I haven't had the opportunity to think about in my
One
head there.
thing is never with me. There in all the drugs and all the crap I've done in my life, there is no dementia, and there's no Alzheimer's. There's nothing I don't remember. I just have that memory.
It's a great stream of consciousness you're carrying on, though, right? It's wonderful. Yeah.
I miss what it is, but it came to a point where that's what brought me up here. That's how I got up here. I stayed up here, stuck it out. I did well. Then the shop was finally my shop after Mark Marshall, which was my old boss and partner. He left, and it's mine now. The record shop was on the end, and there was a health food store in the middle.
Right on the green, though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Everything's right in
on
the middle of
village
all
green.
the action.
Yeah,
right?
That's the kicker.
Yeah.
That's what, and you wrote about it. I didn't realize, here's the First Baptist Church. Okay. Here's 12 o'clock Sunday afternoon. I just opened up and they're all getting out of church. And I'm blasting some Led Zeppelin, the Doors, whatever. It's blasting. That was me. I was already stoned, and the incense pouring out, and I was always pumping, and they're all walking by like the townspeople weren't very happy with me. It was a little bit before you came too, Getty, or about the same time you were there.
Yeah, I'm glad you.
That wooden spoon store next to the.
Yes, the health food store. We're always eating garlic.
That's right.
That guy always eating garlic.
So how you became Magic? Just.
I became Magic Markie was just a name that came into play through no means of magical or mystical things. It's just Magic Markie sounded good, and it was good. And then, now I'm in Florida, whatever.
It was magic.
You were,
and
it's
now,
just- yeah,
now,
yeah.
I'm now I'm Mark After Dark.
Mark After
down
Dark,
in
I love
Florida.
it, yeah.
There is no more Magic Markie down there.
Well, you were speaking a little bit about, there was an article that you gave to us about the blue laws, they were called, back in the day in Woodstock. There was a time in,
That was really part of my head being disappeared for a minute. That was in the New York Times.
that was the New York Times, right?
I just
So
happened-
there was a opportunity to have a law on the books back in it's probably older than the 60s, 50s, I would imagine.
They wanted
Where
it's
you
right here.
had to have stores closed on Sundays. And as Markie was saying, he's opening up on a Sunday at noon, just as the people at the Dutch Reformed Church are getting out of their services. So there was that conflict. And it reads, and I would imagine, I know Bill Watrous, he probably really, truly didn't really care about people selling on Sundays.
No, he
right?
didn't, but it's something he had to do
Right.
because it was actually the at the Village Green, Focal Point, and it was Happy Glop and all these other famous stores that were up there. A Focal Point replete with a historical marker dating to the 18th century. Mark Gondelman, that's my real name. It's okay. Everybody does it. I was 23 years old then. Manager of the Woodstock headquarters shop. Fingered a magic mushroom, which I used to wear my magic
Right.
mushroom.
Yeah,
You know, like playing around with it around his neck and exchanged quips with Billy Waters. What do you have in here that's, you know, a souvenir or something pertaining to Woodstock? I said, here, Dayglow paint. You know.
Well, I was reading that and I was laughing because just about everything could have been interpreted as a souvenir if you think about it.
Some people got fined.
Right.
You know, Happy Glop, the leather store, some people got fined, they didn't want to do it, some people didn't. And Billy Waters, he was good to me. He didn't harass me or anything like that. Basically, because the kids, as you wrote in your book, after school would come to hang out, the shop, and you know, we went tobogganing. Yeah, everybody was starting to smoke pot.
Well, I'm glad you
anyway.
bring up the kids again because, you know, I remember the steps. So there was 3 or 4 steps there in front of the store.
Oh, yeah.
And we would congregate there. If people weren't on the Village Green itself sitting on the monument, the people were sitting over on your steps.
All of
them. What's one aspect of what you brought to the head shop or what that area brought to, that made kids feel safe to come and sit there? What do you?
It was full.
Yep, what do you
I
think?
know you can't see this on film, but
Yeah,
you can
it's in
go
Legendary
online
Locals.
and you
When
can see
people
it.
look in Legendary Locals, they can see the picture.
Yeah,
of it.
and the Village
Yeah,
Green
yeah.
when it was actually green, which we'll get to in a second.
Tell me about what about you
The kids
and the kids?
came
Tell
in,
me
you
about
know,
that.
I was only maybe about 20 at that time, so they were in their teens, getting ready to graduate. Just come out at the music. You know, I smoked, you know, I was discreet about it to a degree, but the music and of what the shop was, it was just, to them, it was like, they never saw nothing like this before. It was, wow, this and that. And you know, candles and the incense and the things, even they like to buy those things to take home with them, you know, in their own little world and just starting to smoke.
Sure.
Like these things, like, turn them on.
It was I can say from firsthand experience that it was very comfortable to go in as a single teenager girl at the time. I didn't feel pressured at all.
No.
There was no kind of a hustle that I experienced.
No,
Okay, there
God.
was nothing like that.
I wasn't ready to go to jail.
No. So yeah, but that's the time that
But
we grew
yeah.
up in. But I think that was part of the draw, was that you could go there, you could hear music, you could enjoy looking at the artwork that was in there. If you wanted to
Yeah, the
get involved in
Dayglow
pot, you
posters.
could. Right. I mean, there's all kinds of things.
And then on the weekends, I got so busy, I say, hey, guys, people,
Yes,
they were
right,
lined
get out
up
of the
like
way.
this.
Right.
Split up for a
Let
little
them
bit. I love
in.
you all, but split up. People trying to get in there. They actually want to buy things and spend some money in here, you know, and take back to New York. I believe that shop. And Michael Lang even agreed with me. Oh, there's Michael Lang. I got a picture of Michael Lang. You got
Yes.
them all too.
Yeah.
And look, he photographed like a vampire, but I got one where I actually got to see his face. May he rest in peace.
That's a great picture.
Yeah, he helped me a lot and everything. Like I said, Albert Grossman was there when I did my discos. The Guinness Book of World Record came up. Maybe we can get into that another time because I know
We're good. Yeah. Tell us, you want to.
okay, real in a
So you went
nutshell.
from Joyce Lake discoing on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, and I was still there, and Ron thought about it. He just couldn't get. The bar would have to be open 24 hours a day. We wanted to break a Guinness Book of World Record. Ron and I talked about it to bring it back from England. It was 500 hours. We wanted to go, you know, continue his play, DJing. Getty, the editor and CEO of the Woodstock Times, covered it somewhere here or in the town libraries. Getty mentioned there's some articles, but it wasn't done at the Joyous Lake. Ron didn't have the time or didn't even get the permits to keep the place open 24 hours a day. It was just too rough because there were a lot of other things
Sure.
and heavy stuff going on. Carl Fisher and Laura had opened up Rose's Cantina next to the Colony, which at that time didn't reopen until 2015. So it was a
Right.
closed Colony. haunted house.
Rose's Cantina is on Rock City Road.
Yes.
And it's across from the cemetery, that location. Most recently was Graveyard Variety, I think is what the most recent. But it was originally, I remember it
The
more as
brass
a
rail.
Village Jug.
The Village Jug and then the
Feeney's
brass
era,
rail.
It was the brass rail, yes. So it's
That-
got a
it's got
reputation
right-
as a building,
Right
right?
next to the creek, really nice place.
Right.
Carl Fisher took it over. We talked about doing it again. He says, yeah, I'll get this place to stay open 24 hours a day. No liquor after a certain time,
Mm-hmm.
but I could play on it, and then we developed a call Guinness, and I actually did it. I actually stayed in a booth. It's in the Guinness book. It's really never been broken. People say
No,
they had
that's
broken it,
interesting. Yeah.
but they haven't. Not the way it was meant to be broken. Turntable to turntable,
Mm-hmm.
no stacking of the records, so much of a break. Not like put a disc in for 6 hours. Oh, time to change the disc yet.
Like we have now,
It
right?
was human endurance. It was rough.
Right.
I went psychotic a little bit, but we did it, and that's when I thought, I was going to go places.
So how many hours just for?
800 hours
800
is 33 and a third days. Get it? 33 and a third, which was an album, and we did it. Got down to New York. Peter, the crazy photographer, he got me actually booked on Tom Snyder's Tomorrowland, which was AM New York, and I got my 15 minutes.
You did get your
I
15
got
minutes of fame, though,
and-
yeah.
but I thought it was going to go further. I thought, okay, man, whoa, I got head shop, this broke in, blah, 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 blah. I couldn't ever, my mom tried to get me on Johnny Carson.
You couldn't parlay that into
I didn't have
something
a
else.
manager.
Yeah.
I didn't have an agent. I didn't know you need these people. I thought I'd be on Johnny Carson. Yeah, BS. That never happened. Getty wrote an article on that. Not that he wrote the article about what people said about what I wanted to do. That's why I want to try and find those before I go, just to add them to my list.
So
The
you're a
bottom-
DJ at heart, if I'm hearing you correctly. Once you got into the head shop
That's when
world,
I-
you then said, oh, maybe I want to be a DJ.
I wanted I wanted it all.
Okay.
I could run the head shop and still be a DJ
Okay, all
and
right.
work Tuesday nights at the Joyous Lake and everything, make a few extra bucks, and I could put records together in my mind of what I want to play and the different scenarios that I had. Music came real good to me all my life.
Now, question about DJing. Did Disco Linda come after you?
Yes.
Okay.
She came after me. Right, when done, I was done.
Mm-hmm.
It was, Disco Linda, we talked, everything, nice girl. She did her discos too. I'm sorry, nice lady.
Different kind of music, though, probably.
No,
No?
but I was just, sorry, I'm not being prejudiced. I just thought I was more talented and people would more come to see me. But then I was getting ready to leave and it was over. Ron Merritt was 77 or 78. It's just about ended.
Well, it looks like 77 you did the 800 hours.
No, that was 1975. It was
Ah.
from July 4th to August the 7th. 1975 is when it was broken. Then the next morning, I was taken down to New York in a limousine, and I was on AM New York or Tomorrowland with Tom Snyder, which I have the pictures to prove it. The only problem I have, not a problem, is I know I see the scenery here and the interview, and I have all the takes that were taken. What I don't know is, and don't know how to find out, pardon me, is after 50 years or so, are these, no one wants to help me when I call NBC.
Oh, are they copyrighted?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that I can at least look at them or buy them, or not buy them, at least tape it so I can have the actual tape of the interview.
Right. Yeah, these
No
are
one-
like photographer prints.
Yes, exactly, because
Right.
Peter was doing it for,
Right.
so I wonder if it was really taped at all. I don't know, I'm just gonna
You
assume it.
need an archivist to help you out.
I need something to help me
Right,
out. I don't have a lot of money to spend. I would just like to see it was only 15 minutes long. That was my 15 minutes. We're gonna come down to the bottom line. I know you got time, things you wanna do, and now I'm gonna get, okay, why am I up here now
Yeah,
again
let's
after
do it.
6 or
Yeah.
7 years?
Yep,
I'm not satisfied
with,
with the way my life is, and that came up with the head shop. I was somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was somebody, and then I broke the skin of a record. I really felt like I was somebody, and then nothing came of it. And then for years and years, in reality, when I went back to Florida, you know, I felt like I was a nobody. You know, I mean, I worked at a car dealership, you know, there was
Well,
no
let me-
DJ.
Let me assure you that in Woodstock, you are somebody. That may not help you in Florida.
That's why I would come
But
back.
in Woodstock, you have a following, if you will, yes.
But so many people, as I'm 75 and everything, and I asked, and where's the old timers? And there's not a bunch, there's a lot of old timers still that remember Magic Markie, and there's some, who the hell is he? Or have no concept, or have only been here like 10 or 15 or 20 years. You know.
So did you, if I'm hearing you correctly, let's clarify, did you leave Woodstock and go right to Florida?
I left Woodstock, came back to Philadelphia, New Jersey,
Okay,
got into car sales and
Got
everything.
out of music then?
Yeah, really.
You got out of
Got
music.
married, you know.
You got
No
out of
kidding.
head shops then?
Oh, I had shops,
Completely
yeah,
gone.
that was it was over.
Yep.
It was-
Okay.
It wasn't anything happening. At the same time, in 1977, 78, because Ron and I had a talk.
Mm-hmm.
Ron and I always stayed friends. And I said, it's time for me to go, Ron, there's nothing else here, you know.
Well, that's
It's-
10 years after the Woodstock Festival, so, you know, there's,
Yes.
you know, that aura had dimmed a little bit, if you
Ron
will, right?
felt, Ron Marions of the Joyous Life felt the same way
Mm.
in 77 or so. He says, you're right, it's really not much, and him and Velma, soon after I left there, went to Joyous Lake.
Mm-hmm,
And it was gone, turned into a head shop, really phenomenal, ultra-modern head shop, but really plastic and no feel to it. I remember going in there once in a while, it was just plastic, and everybody thought they had the best head shop. Rosa had a head shop, she had two of them from Florida. They were nice,
Oh,
but
that's
everything with
more modern
T-shirts,
time, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
she was nice.
I'm curious about Philadelphia in the mid-'60s and head shops.
Well-
Isn't that a little, like, that's like really a little advanced thinking in the '60s?
My boss at that time, Leslie Tobin, he had two head shops. I was working for the Philadelphia Daily News
Okay.
as a carrier, bringing ads to, and one day I was in Denny's, and I used to go to the head shop there to buy my papers, and the manager was there, hey, how you doing, Ken, what's up? And Leslie Tobin happened to be sitting there, and Leslie says, what are you doing? I said, I work for the Daily News. Well, you know, Ken says you're an okay guy, you're pretty cool. You want to come? This is 1967 or 68, before the Woodstock. You want to come to work? For me, I pay pretty good. You set up a head shop and everything, and you know, you look like a good kid. You know, you smoke, you're cool. You want to come work for me? And I said, hell yeah. I dropped I quit. You know, I'm going to work.
Yeah, you made a big career change, though. You, from in the newspaper industry, you're just delivering ad work to people.
Yes.
And then you jump into something that's a little more
Like,
exciting, right? It's got a little more enticement to it.
Really, and it was
right?
really cool, right around the street. I lived in Center City, Philadelphia. And then as it came after the festival,
It all hit.
want to come up? I didn't want to go. I'll give it a
Now,
month. If it-
I'm going to pick your brain about Woodstock. When you came here, you didn't want to be here, right? Because you got city Philadelphia in
Yeah.
your head. You get up here to a very conservative Woodstock. Very.
I need the word for it.
Well, tell us one or two things about,
Man, I was harassed by Billy watching, these stickers, the P stickers, you know, and you just put them on my window, and that was like, whoa, yeah. So I guess you get pulled over. Leslie backed me up in any court case. There was never no court cases, but ticketed for having the peace sign and the American flag. That was like taboo at that
Holy,
time.
really? Yeah.
The church people coming out and like in disgust, you know, walking around the side.
Right.
How could you know, open up this is terrible.
they're
oh my
giving
God.
you the stink eye.
Yeah,
Right?
well,
Yeah.
it didn't bother me. I
You
just,
weren't deterred by it.
I dealt with
No.
it all.
Yep, yeah.
I did it all. And then last thing, Richard's filming this, last thing is on the book that you did. And
That's the legendary locals, right?
yeah, which I always made a copy of. Pardon me not looking up for a second, that was that. And it was right here, because I know I put a copy of it probably.
What are
in
you
the front.
thinking of?
I'm thinking of, you showed, here's the real kicker. and then the Village Green really did a number.
Oh, a center of town?
Yeah,
Oh,
okay, I don't have to pull it out.
That's all right.
It was a Village Green. It was a real Village Green. It was all green. It was grass. There was no concrete or nothing. And in 1971 or 72, Richard knows where it is. I know exactly where it's buried from the grass, because it was grass and no concrete. And then they concreted it all over. And the village flower ladies do their beautiful thing on the end, which is dirt. But it's in further than that. I know where it is. They would have to, I don't know.
You're talking about the time capsule.
Yeah, I don't know how you were going to get permission to dig that up. It
Right.
belongs to the church. Do you have to get permission from the church to dig that up and break through that concrete?
I'm sure that we'll work our way through that when the time comes at
Yeah,
some
well,
point. Yeah,
I'd like
yeah.
to see it before I die. you
So
know?
this was in 1971
or 72.
I think it was, for the,
No, time capsule was
Was it
put in.
before that?
Oh, yeah, it was, I know for a fact it was like 71 or 72, because I remember the T-shirts I had that had Woodstock headquarters. And I remember rolling papers that they put in there. There were $100 bill rolling papers.
Okay.
And American flag rolling papers and incense and some things. I remember, and Brett was with me, I remember what we put into that, you know. And even if we pulled it out, you'd never give me the T-shirt back. It would go to the museum.
probably in still good condition. Now, tell me, if you were to remember standing in the doorway of your shop and looking out onto the Village Green, let's say, what would you say about how the Village Green looked? Can you describe it on a busy Saturday with people sitting around on the benches?
Yeah, here's me outside the door.
Yeah.
There's the Village Green, I'm looking out, but when I came up and it was all concreted over,
No, that, yeah.
it's interesting. I sat up there a little bit myself with my book, seeing people go by. Pardon me.
That's okay. Well, there used to be, maybe I'll give you a cue and maybe you'll remember. There were signs that said, "Don't sit on the grass." Do you remember
Yes.
seeing them?
Yes,
And people were sitting on the grass right next to the signs that said, "Don't sit on the grass," right?
They did, stay off the grass,
Right.
stay off the grass. It was all thing. It was still nice. There were some benches at the end, like wooden benches, like
But it was a kind of a place where we all did like to mill around and hang out, and it was a meeting place too. if you
it
did,
was,
right?
it's become very political now. I'm not a political person. When I say political, I mean, I see that they have the band, the women marchers on certain days, on a Saturday, things are going on there that are, it wasn't that way. Was it that way? And that is very politically motivated. I'm not a political person.
Well, you know, I think it's just, this is my point of view from
The
today.
drum majors,
It's like a town square now where people could bring their protests. I mean, that's what
That's
it's
what
evolved
exactly,
to. Right, yeah.
but it wasn't that way then.
No, it was very pretty.
And it wasn't that way even when I left in 77, 78. It was still the Village Green, and it was still green and wasn't concreted over. And then one year I came up and said, what?
Well, we call it the Village Bluestone now, yeah.
I know the
It's
church-
pretty much more Bluestone, right?
I know the church owns that piece of property there. I don't see, I guess they own it. They would probably never sell it. It wouldn't matter what you offered the church. I doubt if they would ever sell that piece of property.
Well, it kind of belongs to the world in a way. It's a public space now. I think that's how Woodstock has evolved.
Well, the church owns
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, they do. However, yeah, it has a public air about it. So when you sound, I hear a little sadness when you come back and you look at the Village Green,
It's not
the
the-
way it's changed, right?
It's not, I'm glad to be up here. I love coming up for Halloween more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen my videos, you know how to find my videos, or you can tell the audience.
Are they on YouTube or where?
Oh, YouTube.
Yeah, okay.
You know, under, so you have it, you can see videos that I did myself 2 years in a row, 2018, 2019. It's so simple. It's Magic Markie, Woodstock, New York, Halloween, 2018, 2019, and then right away the playlists
They
will
come
come up. 2018 was one of the best ones I did. Brad Robin took me, I went to the gun range, you know, out there in West Hurley because he's a manager. Just different things I did. Brett took me around for tours in his unfortunate, his classic Malibu Chevelle, which a deer hit, or he hit a deer. And we used to drive around. I used to do those. Halloween night from the Village Green. The fellow that bought the building, I think his name Jeff and Mary Ann. If they're there, they'll recognize me. They'll let me come up
Right.
tomorrow and do some filming. I did some filming from there around town.
So are you dressing up for Halloween this
Well,
year?
this is how I dress up.
Okay, all right.
This is it. I got 4 different shirts with these here in the back. And the last time it just used to be the picture of me, but then I went to the printer and says, can you fit Magic Markie, the man, the myth, can you fit it in there and make it look good?
Yeah.
He says, yeah. So he did 4 shirts for me, so that some people will look at the picture. Well, now they can look and see, this is me, baby, 54 years ago.
So
And
tell me-
I got my wig like this too. It's not here.
I know, but yeah, that would be a perfect, so.
I got it at the house.
What's one really, do you have a memory of, either in the head shop or when you were doing DJing that you would like to leave us with, that is, something that talks about Woodstock in that time, that we're not gonna be able to visit it again because it's different, yeah.
It was one time, it was, I didn't even want to come up, but I did. And once I came up, it was like Leslie Tobin said, it was like I could breathe. It was nice. I got this cabin. It wasn't like the city congested. I mean, it was like I felt like exuberated. It was like,
Right.
this is great. And then
Did you feel a little freer being up, free
Yeah.
as far as the whole?
Yeah, I was
atmosphere?
free to do whatever I wanted with that head shop and put it to whatever way even though he was the boss and the owner until I took it over, I was free. I had the free hand of what I wanted to make it what it was. It was different than the city. It was a little more commercial. This wasn't really commercial. This was like set in.
Well, it was commercial, but it was also in the middle of, town was changing and times were changing.
Yeah,
So,
the whole time was wood bark. I
Yeah.
mean, he really had Leslie's idea, not mine, but it was like authentic. And the smell when you went in, it was just running that place. I had an ego. I don't care if it was he owned it or whatever. It was my place. I
But
put
you
it
had
together.
fun, you had fun with it.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yes,
And then
yeah.
the DJing came in to I always bought records from the record shop because the record shop was on the end.
Do you
so Mark
remember who
Marshall-
was running the record shop?
That was Mark Marshall and Lynn.
Okay.
Mark Marshall and Lynn stayed around for a while. They were always there. Leslie didn't bother with them. So I used to buy a lot of records. Mark came into the head shop, taught me how to do things, and even invested in it after Leslie sold it to him. And then it got sold back to me. And then Mark Marshall left. He disappeared. But Mark knew how to go to different places and order things, that I wasn't aware of. So he taught me something about ordering.
Looking around,
And the Twin Towers that were destroyed, it was like, what are we going here for? You never been in the Twin Towers before? Yeah, I know, what's in here? And then each floor had the things you could buy, display and merchandise and things you could buy for your company and everything.
So
That was heavy.
Let me ask you this, what is one thing that you'd like to say to those young kids that are hanging out in front of your store in 1968, 69? What would you like to leave us with? Us, I include myself. I wasn't there all the time, but I was there.
I'm still in touch with a lot of them. I've kept in touch. Even like Richard Fusco before he became a DJ and everything. He couldn't make it today. But Brad, who worked with me in the shop, some of them have died, either military or drug overdoses. I still know some that are around that I visit. And like, some of the ladies that I used to know, but a lot of people from that era just aren't around. It's just maybe that many I can
hand,
talk
right,
to
right.
out of all the people.
But you would leave them with good wishes, you would, those
Oh,
of
yeah.
us that are still around?
Oh, yeah. And I talked
yeah,
to a lot of
yeah,
them, and they're doing okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're doing okay, but there's not, a whole bunch of some have moved away.
The
and
ranks are thinning, as they say.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
See, that's when I come up with,
yes,
it's like,
yes.
or they see the picture, or I talk to them, but they've only been up here, as I said before, you know, if you haven't been up here for at least the way 50 years, an old timer that's been here for 50 years, and that's circa 1970, then you wouldn't, maybe a few years after, word of mouth, but then after that, things fade. So
Right.
unless you were here and actually lived and been here for 50 years, then you
It's hard
wouldn't
to
really
know.
know.
No, I agree. I think you make a good point, and I do appreciate that you taking the time to come here and chat with us at the Historical Society.
Oh,
I do appreciate it a lot on behalf of everyone who will see this in the future on YouTube.
And here's the last thing,
Yeah.
the bottom line of why I'm looking for, remember I said I'm nobody, I'm a somebody, I'm a nobody, I'm a somebody. I'm funny about things. Johnny Carson, I love Johnny Carson, his show in the years back. He brought people on. I never got on his show or nothing like that. He got 90 minutes instead of 60. His show was entertaining compared to other late night talk show hosts. He was different. He was best. Roland and Martin's Laughing, Saturday Night Live, different type of a format and funny. Not like it is now. I'm not, they try and make it funny, but it's not
Right,
funny.
it's
I'm not getting into
different, yeah.
political or nothing. It's just the way it
Everything's
is. My dream is, when I see this, and I want to send, my dream is I want to be on Greg Gutfeld. I love Greg Gutfeld. He's funny. He's like a reincarnation of Johnny Carson, other than he does
Well,
Tarmac.
you're going to have to work hard to do that. I don't think we can help you with that
No,
necessarily,
it's
but we can
something-
get you on our
it's-
YouTube channel.
it's
That's what we
something-
can do.
It's
Yes.
something that I would send, after it's all done and it's viewed, I would write a letter, send him. I have one of these shirts. He likes to wear the ones I had yesterday. He likes these shirts and everything. Send him a shirt, write a letter, tell him what I think of him. He's a reincarnation of Johnny Carson.
No, that's
He's funny. The new comedians nowadays, they don't have, or people don't watch them like they do him. He's got millions of viewers. Left, right, whatever it is, Fox News, ABC, people watch him. He's funny. He's very talented, very smart man. The Tyrus, the heavyweight guy, big heavy guy, he's cool. Kat Timp, she's a libertarian.
So you're going to let us know when you get on Greg Gutfeld, right? So we'll leave it
I'm not,
with that.
it's just my last dream that it's probably gonna go nowhere, but I will send him
Yep,
like this
your packets,
and write a
right.
letter and everything and send him, he likes T-shirts with the crazy stuff on the front, and just write a letter, let him know what he feels. I think they should give him 90 minutes, and he should do Karnak, where Johnny used to put the envelope to
Yes.
the, Karnak says.
Right.
Yeah, you never know with that guy.
So you're
He-
reincarnating yourself. So I
Yeah.
want to thank you for being here. I like
Yeah.
the idea that you have plans for your future, but you are a big part of Woodstock's past, and I want to thank you very much for
Oh,
for
pleasure.
joining us
Yay, Gene.
on behalf of the Historical
Thank
Society.
you, Richard.
Thank you.
And thank you, Getty Savakis, for coming to
Yes.
see me. And Brett, my man.